This week we are going to be talking about multiplying decimals by 10 and 100. So we're choosing those numbers first of all because they're friendly numbers and because our system of counting is actually based on tens. Like you already know, if we are multiplying by 10 or 100, all we have to do to our numbers is actually add a zero. That's because when we look at the place value chart, every time we hit 10, we go to a new number spot. The same thing is going to be true with using decimals, except for what we have to do is we just have to shift our decimal over. So I'm going to go through a few examples with you, but I just wanted to tell you that at the start to let you know that this isn't a trick in math. It's not a sneaky way of doing something. It's actually just using the base 10 system, so our place value chart, to do our calculations. So let's look at a few examples and you'll see how it actually works. Okay, so we are going to start with A, 5.6 or 5.6 multiplied by 10. So before I tell you how to do this, I want you to think, if I'm going to be moving a decimal place one spot, in this case, will I be moving the decimal to the right or the left? If I'm multiplying it, will my number get bigger or smaller? Think about it. So the answer is that the number will get bigger. And what that means is that I'm going to move my decimal place to the right. So here I'm going to show you. We have 5.6, and to answer multiplying that by 10, all I have to do is move the decimal place one spot to the right. So my answer is actually 56. 5.6 times 10 is 56. We move the decimal one spot. Now let's try decimal 0.47 multiplied by 10. I'm going to give you a few seconds to try and see if you know that answer without even looking. We're going to do the same thing. Let's move the decimal one spot to the right because it's getting bigger. So we have 0.47 and we're moving it to the right. Our answer is 4.7. Okay, now let's try it with a bigger number. So we're going to start with 96.035 and we want to multiply it by 10. Again, I'm going to stop and give you a minute to figure it out yourself, and then I'll give you the answer. So here we're going to take 96.035, we're going to move the decimal one spot to the right because it's growing, and we're going to end up with 960.35. Alrighty, now let's try multiplying by 100 instead of just 10. And so again, because we use a base 10 system, and when we're looking at a place value chart, each new category is by 10, so from 10 to 100. All we're going to have to do is move our decimal point one more time. And because 100 is bigger than 10, it's going to go two spots to the right. So here, for example, we have 2.4, and we want to multiply it by 100. So let's start by filling out our place value chart that I have here for you. So we're going to put 2 in our ones spot on the place value chart, and we're going to put 4 because it's 4/10 in the tenths place value spot, which is 1 to the right of the decimal. So for multiplying it by 100, we are sliding. So basically we're sliding our numbers 2 places to the left, which means that our decimal will be moving 2 places to the right. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So our number is going to get bigger because multiplying always makes it bigger. And here we have it, looks like 24, but that's actually in the hundreds if we move it 2 places over. We have to add a 0 to our column. So 2.4 times 100 equals 240. Now let's try another one. Here we have 0.045 times 100. Let's fill out our place value chart. And then we're going to move it 2 places to the left. So we're doing this a little bit quicker, and that's what it will look like. So we can actually get rid of the first 2 zeros, and the answer to this multiplication question is just 4.5. We've moved it 2 places over, and it becomes a lot bigger. Alrighty, we are going to do some more practice questions now. We're going to go through it a little bit faster and without the place value chart, just so we can get some repetition and practicing. So here we have 6.05 times 100. We move the decimal place 2 spots to the right. Our number will grow, and the answer is 605. Next question, 15.8, so 15.8 times 100. Let's move our decimal place 2 spots to the right, and our final answer will be, we have to add the 0, remember, 1,580. All right, we are now going to head into dividing decimals by 10 and 100. So this is going to be a lot quicker for you to learn because it's very similar to multiplying decimals by 10 and 100. But our numbers are not growing, they're actually shrinking. Just like we've learned in division, the number as we divide it actually gets smaller because there's different pieces that are being split up and each group gets smaller. So all that means is that in our number chart, we're actually going to be shifting the decimal the opposite way because our number is shrinking. So we're going to start again by practicing a few numbers using our place value chart, and I'll show you exactly how we do that, but we will go a little bit faster through it because it's the same concept, just a smaller number, so we shift it the other way. Okay, we're going to start by dividing decimals by 10. So 1.4 divided by 10. Here we have our place value chart. We're actually going to start by putting the 1 in the ones column and the 4 in the tenths column. So you'll see that pop up here, 1.4. And for now, what we have to do is we have to take those numbers, and because it's only by 10, we're just shifting them 1 place. So the numbers shift to the right, but what that means is the decimal is shifting to the left. And then we can just add a 0 in the 1 spot. So the answer to that question is 0.14. Let's try another one. 35.97 divided by 10. So we filled it out, tens, ones, tenths, and hundreds. And again, because we're dividing by 10, we're going to shift our numbers to the right, but we're going to shift, which means our decimal will shift to the left. So the answer ends up being 3.597. All right, let's practice one more before you do your work. This question is 20.3 divided by 10. We shift it 1 to the left, so it ends up being 2.03. 524 divided by 10 becomes 52.4. So the first one for an example is actually not a decimal. We're dividing a whole number by 100, but we can still put it into our place value. So when we have 87, we're going to put the 8 in the 10 spot and the 7 in the 1 spot. We're going to divide it by 100. So what you're going to see is we have to shift the numbers over, and because it's getting smaller, we're going to shift them over to the right so the decimal goes to the left. So 87 divided by 100 is decimal, 0.87, because it means we then have 8/10 and 7/100. Let's do the bottom one now, and then it will be time for you to do your work. So we have 5.6 divided by 100. We've put the 5 into the ones column, 6 into the tenths, and we shifted over 2 spots to the right, which means our decimals shift 2 spots to the left. Here you can see it filled out. 0.056. So we had to fill in our empty spots there with zeros. And the answer is 0.056. I'll leave it up on the screen for a minute in case you need to just look at it to help understand what we did there.